The night was so quiet that the killer could hear footsteps in the snow. But they weren't his. They were already there. In March of 1922, on a remote farmstead in Bavaria, Germany, 6 people were murdered in one of the most disturbing unsolved crimes in history. The place was called Hinterkaifeck, a lonely property surrounded by forest, cut off from the nearest neighbors by long, silent stretches of land. What happened there wasn't just a massacre. It was something far stranger. Days before the murders, the owner of the farm, Andreas Gruber, noticed footprints leading from the forest to his house. There were no footprints leading back out. Then things started to disappear. A set of house keys vanished. Tools were moved. Strange noises echoed from the attic at night. Slow, deliberate footsteps above the ceiling. Andreas searched the space and found nothing. No intruder, no explanation. He didn't call the police. On the evening of March 31st, someone lured the family into the barn one by one, and they never came back out. Andreas Gruber was the first to die. He was struck with a mattock, a heavy farming tool, so violently that his skull shattered. His wife Cecilia followed, then their widowed daughter Victoria. Each of them was attacked in the same spot, in near silence, their bodies stacked on top of one another in the hay. The killer waited. Inside the house, Victoria's 2 children were still alive. 7-year-old Cecilia Gruber was killed in her bedroom. The autopsy later revealed something chilling. After the blow that fractured her skull, she was still alive for several hours. Clumps of her own hair were found in her hands, ripped out in pain and fear. The final victim was the family's maid, Maria Baumgartner. It was her first day on the job. She had arrived at Hinterkaifeck just hours earlier. She never had a chance. 6 people were dead, and somehow, no one noticed for days. Neighbors eventually grew concerned when smoke continued to rise from the farmhouse chimney, but no one was seen. Animals were still being fed. The dog barked from inside the house. When a group finally entered the property, they found the bodies. But what horrified investigators wasn't just the brutality. It was what happened after. The killer had stayed in the house. Food had been eaten, meals prepared. The fireplace was used. Someone slept in the beds. For several days after the murders, whoever did this lived among the dead, feeding livestock, walking the halls, listening to the silence. Police found no signs of forced entry, no robbery. Money was left behind. The weapon, believed to be a mattock, was likely taken from the farm itself. Suspicion fell on everyone. A former farmhand who had once threatened the family, a neighbor who helped discover the bodies. Even Andreas Gruber himself, because long before the murders, he had been accused of incest with his own daughter, Victoria. The family was isolated, feared, and rumored about for years, but no suspect was ever charged. In 1923, the farmhouse was torn down. The land was cleared, as if erasing it might erase what happened there. It didn't. Decades later, police revisited the case using modern profiling. Their conclusion was unsettling. The killer likely knew the family intimately. He may have been watching them for days or longer. He was comfortable enough to remain inside the home after slaughtering 6 people. Comfortable enough to stay. To this day, the Hinterkaifeck murders remain unsolved. No arrest, no confession, no closure. Just footprints in the snow that led toward the house and never away.